Alright, we're back. We've got 2 coats of the dark olive color onto the blocks, and the drying time, actually I've let this sit for about 4 hours, but I think 2 hours is probably about the minimum you want to wait, because this paint, even while thinned down, some of the parts in between these cracks took a little while to dry, so you could still see that it was shiny down in these areas here. So I gave it about 4 hours. And I was going to let it dry. So I need to make a correction to the earlier video when I showed the Ziploc containers full of the diluted liquid. I went and reread the instructions, and we are correct on everything we did with the olive drab, but you do not want to dilute that khaki color. We're going to use that full strength when we're dry brushing onto these pieces. I did do a test piece real quick, and this is I believe, the second highlight that we want to achieve. So we're going to dry brush this onto this piece here, and then I've got one great big piece we're going to dry brush it onto, and then we're going to let this set up for just a little bit, and then I'll put the white on and we'll see how it looks. So I'm going to start the dry brush here. I've got the can of paint, that's the khaki color. I have a paper towel underneath it, and so I'm going to just dip about half my brush in there and wipe that on that paper towel until almost all the paint, it's not, the paper towel is bright white, so we're going to wipe on there until we see almost no transfer of color. And when we think we're not seeing any more transfer of color, that's when we want to start working on this piece here. So basically you're going to jab down into this piece. This isn't a light dry brush. You're really going to want to hit on this hard, and you'll see just that khaki color starting to come off and start getting on these raised areas of this piece. Now you're going to have to go back to the that 4-way intersection I did. I had to go back to the can probably 4 or 5 times just on that piece there, so I would assume the same here. So I'm just going to keep jabbing and try not to knock my camera over onto these pieces and get that khaki color to transfer. Now you don't want to use the 99-cent paintbrush from Walmart when you do this. Bruce puts on his site, you want a halfway decent dry brush to use. So and that's probably still a little bit too much paint, and we'll go with that. And you see I'm jabbing that down on top of these rocks, getting it down in between the middle. And he talks about, because there's no walls on these corridor sections, that you really need the floor to pop, because if you don't, then it's all drab looking. It's just, looks like one big blob out there. So he calls for a real heavy dry brush on this part. If you were doing this same project and you were adding low walls on here, you would do this on a much lighter dry brush. You wouldn't be pressing as hard or trying to get as much of the color down on these rocks. So it would be a light dry brush at this stage and a light dry brush with the white. And he demonstrates the 2 techniques and what the results should kind of look like when it's done. So we're at the 3rd time going for the paint. You notice I've got this on a piece of white paper. Earlier when I did the green, I just had it on the plastic itself, and when it turned, that probably wasn't the best idea because of the amount of paint that gets on that plastic, and you can't rotate your piece to keep painting because it's stuck on that plastic. At least with the white paper, I can pull the piece of paper around. If you look at the other videos, they're all, I keep the paper under there, and I can twist this whole piece around without getting a bunch of green under there, because depending on what playing surface that you're playing on with this later, I don't think you want to put this directly against, you know, somebody's nice polished dining room table or something like that. So just something to keep in mind. All my future ones are going to be done on the white pieces of paper. On our dining room table here, we have a cover on it, so that little bit of paint on these 3 pieces isn't going to matter on there. But if you play on an uncovered table, just be aware that that could transfer. So, all right, just going to check the ends real quick. Those are pretty good. Check this end down here. And that's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to call that piece done. So there it is. And even the skull got some of the, this is that green skull, that green stuff skull we talked about earlier. And that's just super glued down in that little valley right there. So I'm going to mute the mic. I'll speed up the next part on here, and then when this is done, we'll come back and we'll talk about putting the white on. I'm back, and I cheated. Actually, I got a phone call while I was setting up for the white dry brush, and I was on the phone for probably over an hour, so I just went ahead and just dry brushed these with the white. His instructions have, Bruce's instructions on the website having you add a drop of green paint to the white to tint it a little bit. I didn't do that. I just used a straight Apple Barrel Craft white and went across, because his mix is almost pure white. I'm real happy with the results and how this came out. I needed to see if I got some pictures and try to do some progressions and show you what, you know, the base coat to the khaki color, you know, because basically we've gone from I'll get this all over my hand. Here's the khaki color. You know, that's what was on there before I dry brushed the white. So I'm happy with how that looked. And the last thing I was going to talk about tonight are the doors, the chests, and some other stuff. On the website, Bruce has you do basically a wipe-off method using a painter's acrylic or some craft paint. You put it on and then you immediately wipe it right off. I bought a tube. I've never used it before of the acrylic paint, and I put it on, and I don't know. I wasn't happy with the effect. You know, this is the wooden slat that I tried it on, and this actually looks really good compared to how the door came out. Because for my door, all along here, I kept getting these really dark lines, and I couldn't get rid of them. So I was having problems with the door. So I just went back to just painting them beige brown. I used Vallejo beige brown. That's a color 875. And then I just washed it with I use Wonder Wash. And that's the original black color. I did a brown, I did a black. I had my daughter come in and look at it. They liked the black better. So when it was all said and done, this is one of the chest pieces. So this is going to be one of the silver chests that's sitting there, and I'm pretty happy with how that looks. I like the brown on the color, so that stands, I think it stands pretty good compared to those. And I'm just going to drop a Warhammer figure on here. This old figure somebody painted for me. That, you know, so that looks good. The colors sitting there on the ground. So I did do a door. This is hard to see outside of the frame on there, but that's kind of what I'm going to go with the doors. Again, that's the beige brown Wonder Wash ink on top, and then I use just a Vallejo matte varnish that I put over it, because if you use a Wonder Wash product, those have future floor wax, what makes everything glow. So you try to cut down on some of that shine, being that this board is matte and all that. And I'm looking on the forums, because I don't know if I'm supposed to spray seal these afterwards or not. I may take one of the scrap pieces I got left over and do this to it and go out and spray a matte sealer over the top, you know, just to give it some extra rigidity, even though I really don't think it needs it. But overall, I'm happy with how everything's came out. You know, I like how the skulls are sitting down in here. I think those dry brushed up really good. Here's one of the two rock pieces. So that matches in with the board really good. I've dry brushed a set of the columns, and what's nice with these is you just line them up like that, and you can paint them and then, you know, do the dry brush over them. So I'm going to put some doors together. So next week when you come back, I'm going to see what I got done, and I can tell right now from how long it took just to do these today to get them to dry that this is going to be a 2-week process. So next week's video will just be quick, show you, hey, this is what we got done so far, and maybe lay a little bit of it out, and we'll kind of go from there. So you have a good night. I appreciate you guys watching, and have some more progress for you next week. And if you like it, if you like the videos, click like. If you like the series, subscribe, and I'll try to keep things coming for you. Thank you.